nothing should define you. Okay, and money should not define. And I think that is, so having money, I've talked to, leading spiritual people, etc., etc. There's lots of these spiritual guys drive Mercedes and have all the, bells and whistles around them. They're given those. So I remember talking to them. So he said, no, there's nothing wrong with all of this. Yes. Does it define you? Then there's something wrong.
There's something wrong.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first money and financial consciousness episode of Imperfect Parenting. I'm Deepma Jadeja, founder of The Confident Communicator, along with my lovely co-founder, Seema Mehta. Just let's jump right in. I was raised by very gentle, instinctive, and imperfect parenting, and somehow I adopted the same approach with my children, which means that I had the talk about a lot of things with my kids instinctively, but for some reason, I did not approach the money talk until they were 17, 18 years old, because I just didn't realize that it was important. In my teens, I was clueless about money, and I inherited my parents' consciousness or mindset about money that, rags to riches stories are just stories. Money has to be inherited. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money has to be saved all the time. Things like that. And which made sense in my 20s when, money was really scarce, when we were paying for our education and we were paying for our, room and dorms and things like that. But even when we began earning in our 30s, the scarcity mindset about money stayed. And we kept worrying about money running out anytime. It was always uncomfortable to talk about. My husband and I rarely discussed money. And somehow as a woman, despite being a confident, conscious woman, I left money decisions first to my father, then to my husband. And like a lot of women in India today, we leave our money decisions to the men. It's only in my 40s when I met our wonderful guest, Kavita Hurry, in her professional avatar, that I began seriously learning about money and developing a more healthy relationship towards money. I'm mortified that I learned these lessons so late. I learned about compounding and wealth building and all of these wonderful aspects about financial literacy very late. And even today, I'm realizing that most children are growing up without any financial education whatsoever, both in schools and at home. I took out a statistic which shocked me. Nearly 1/4 of millennials are spending more money than they earn. And 67% of Gen Y have less than 3 months of savings in emergency funds. When something like the pandemic happens, what's going to happen to people who don't have money stashed away? So financial literacy and consciousness now, I believe, must come very early in life. And that's why we've decided to invite the mother of private banking in India, Kavita Hurry, to demystify our money conversations and to guide us, all of us imperfect parents, towards one, why we need to teach financial literacy at an early age, and also how to do it. So Kavita, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, Deepma. Thank you.
And my first question, let's jump into the first question, is why do we need to teach our children about finances so early on? You explained it to me very beautifully when I was raising my children. So I'd like you to share that with our viewers. Also, how early should we start? And what are the appropriate conversations for each age group? I guess that's 3 questions, not one.
Also, very important is what is our mindset towards money? Because I think what Deepma said was very important, where, we grow up with a certain mindset and belief system about money. What should be our mindset towards money? Does money only come through your career? There are so many different sources of money. So I want to talk a little bit about that too. But Kavita, over to you.
Thank you. Lovely to be here. Very interesting. It's a conversation that's always close to my heart. And I think, I don't remember what I told you, Deepma, then, but I think if the intent in life is to be happy, okay, and that's what everybody says, every philosopher, every guru, every person talks about happiness. I
Yes.
think at the heart of all of this is that unfortunately, if you need to have a certain amount of money to be happy, okay, it doesn't, the more important thing is that it doesn't need to define you,
Yeah.
yet you need to have money to be comfortable so that you can be your true self. And
Absolutely.
that is the reason that we must just make our younger generation aware of this from a very early stage in their lives, because right from the beginning, there is always an aspect of money. We start by giving them pocket money and piggy
Right.
banks and stuff.
Piggy banks, yes.
Yeah, you know, they're given all of that to save their money. They get kharchi, they get gifts, they get toys, they, you know, fortunately, they have abundance.
Yes.
Deepma, what you described, while we were growing up, our parents were not that well off. They gave us very comfortable lives, but we had to think about money.
Yes.
It
They
wasn't made a burden.
sacrifice. They sacrifice way
They
more than we
sacrificed
are.
a lot
Yeah.
just to keep. But
Yeah.
in our case, because we as parents have really built ourselves up, we've given our children all the creature comforts.
Right.
Okay, so that has made them unaware of what the importance of money is. We lived frugal lives and we made our own money by working and then have built ourselves up. But for some reason, we've given our kids everything.
Right.
Okay, so they don't have that aspect or that feeling for money which they need to have. Okay,
Absolutely.
because everything's come very easy to them.
Yes, it's too
Correct.
easy. Yeah, correct.
Correct.
So I'll tell you anecdotally what I did one year when my niece and nephew and my two children were together, and I used to see them, we'd buy them gifts all the time, toys all the time, and they'd be dumb, 2 days khela, then hecko.
Yes.
So
Correct.
that year I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy you gifts. Now I took them to my office and I got somebody to explain to them everything about money, simple terms, because my son was all of 4 or 5, he was the youngest, and the others were 7, 8, 10, 12, that way. So my office, I didn't want to do it myself because I said, let me see. I was, just listening to her. So they explained everything to them and then they said, so how would you like to invest? So the children asked me, how much are you going to give me? And I said, 2,000, that's your kharchi. So 2,000 is what you can invest. So we started with my nephew, who was the oldest, who said that he wanted to take some risk, but wanted to keep it safe. So in the concept, that concept is called balance. So it was a balanced portfolio. He put into a balanced fund. The two girls, my daughter and my niece, said they want full safety. They did not want to take any risk.
So they were risk averse.
They were risk averse.
Yeah.
And they
This
said,
might be a very gender thing, right? Because I
yes,
noticed
and-
myself being very risk
yeah,
averse too.
and it was very interesting. And then my son, who was the youngest, said, Mom, how much? I said, 2,000. He said, only 2,000. Fully at risk. Fully at risk. Okay. And I remember giving him one tight thappad at that time, saying, only 2,000? How dare you say only 2,000? Okay. But that was his reaction. And guess what? 20 years later, who do you think has done the best?
The son?
Yes.
I would
That's
have guessed your
amazing.
nephew with the balance.
I was
No.
hoping it was your son. I was hoping it was your son.
Yeah. So we have to play this sort of a game with them early in life.
Correct.
It's also gave us a sense as parents as to who our children were. And
Right.
from then onwards, I've seen this pattern on risk. My son is always happy to take risk. My daughter is balanced in approach, is conservative. And that continues till today.
Right.
So if you play this game with them, it's a simple game, and you get them to articulate, they have an innate sense. And I'll tell you another example, and I want to share these examples because that's how you understand best. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
there was an insurance guy who had come to our house to sell us insurance, and I told Tanya and Aditya, sit, because this is really being done for you. Insurance we are not going to see in our lifetime; it's for after us.
Yes.
Okay, so the money will come to you. So then I was sitting and asking him that, do you know anything about insurance? And he says, yes. So I said, how do you know about insurance? So he said, Joey was crossing the road in Friends and he got hit by a car. And because he had insurance, he could get his treatment.
Wow. Oh my God. So that consciousness and awareness was through a sitcom. Wow.
Yeah, through Friends.
Through
And
Friends.
it
Yeah.
never
that
stopped.
means they're making connections.
Yes. And I
Wow.
never stopped them from watching Friends thereafter. I said, watch it.
Absolutely.
Good
And
show.
I think really that brings up the point about the mindset, because I think I was probably in my late 40s when I heard about, we look at money as only something that you get when you have a job. And I think that's why when Deepa talked about women, that's why women are a little bit behind, because many of them initially didn't have a job. It's only
Yeah.
lately that a lot of women have gotten into the job, into the workforce. And what happens is that if your mindset towards money is that the only way I can make money is through a job, you will never really make a lot of money.
Yeah.
My mom, who is 80 years old, is an avid investor, and she never worked as in the quintessential working woman. She
9
was
to
a
5.
housewife. She was a
Yeah.
housewife, but from very early on, she pushed my dad into making investments. And today, at 80, she's very comfortable. She's got all her financial goals met. She has a house, beautiful house. She has never, I've never seen her ever say that, I never worked, because she did. She
Yeah.
made her money.
Yeah.
So making money is only not through your career. It can be, it's about your mindset. Do you
Yeah.
have a mindset towards money or you don't? So first
Exactly.
to have that mindset, I guess.
And so therefore, we as parents are responsible to create that mindset and
Absolutely.
make them aware from an early age. So
Correct.
it's not, so for example, when they're young and they get some pocket money, ask them to make a budget. So what are they going to spend that pocket money on?
Good idea.
And part of the pocket money could go towards saving, because nowadays they don't get small amounts of pocket money, they get a decent pocket money.
Yes.
And you start investing even 500 rupees a month.
Correct.
So if that pocket money can be budgeted and they can talk about this in
Yes.
real terms and have conversations with you, then that demystifies money from their minds. And it's also a good conversation to have, because they understand what is going on from an early age. Unfortunately, even today, money is not taught in schools. Nothing about money.
I don't
Finance is
understand.
taught.
That is such a mystery, isn't it? I mean, it's one of the
Yeah.
most important skills that you must have as an adult. Yet
Absolutely.
we don't talk about how to make money or how to invest money in schools at
Personal.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that even heads of treasuries and stuff like that, they do it for their organization, but themselves they're zero. Lots of times.
Surprising. Yeah. Very
Surprising.
surprising. Yeah.
But they're never taught about these things, and I think it's extremely important to teach
The
our
only
kids.
time we heard about compound interest was when we were doing math. That's
Yeah.
and we
But-
never got it because
No, but it
there
is
was no context.
culturally. I think it is culturally. We think it is ugly. It is not a good thing. It's
Yeah.
in bad taste
It's
to talk
vice.
about money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's something that's the reason why I think I love that you're here, Kavita, and you're talking about kids, younger kids. You've done this with my kids as well, where you've talked to them about money. You've talked to them about why it's not something that you need to be afraid of,
Yeah.
but you do need to do the budget. You do need to kind of put some away, things like that.
Yeah.
So
I think the extremely important, I've thought about this a lot, nothing should define you. Okay. And money should not define. And I think that is, so having money, I've talked to, leading spiritual people, etc. There's lots of these spiritual guys drive Mercedes and have all the, bells and whistles around them. They're given those. So I remember talking to them. So he said, no, there's nothing wrong with all of this.
Yes.
Does it define you? Then there's something.
Then there's something wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
So we
But
don't have
if
to look at money as something. If I have earned X number of rupees or dollars,
Yeah.
then I'm successful in my life.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not. So that
Exactly.
should be completely out of your
That
head.
should be
That's a
complete.
great
And
point.
that I think is an extremely important point, that it should not define
Very
you,
valid. Very
okay,
valid.
for all of us.
Okay.
So yeah, so in terms of when they are young,
How young are we talking about, Kavita? How early should
well,
we
I
start
started with mine at 5.
at
And
5?
this risk thing was, I understood when, it was an eye-opener for me.
It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
For all of us in the family, it was an eye-opener. And I'm telling you that till today, that pattern is
continue.
Still
continues.
it continues, yeah.
Okay, so that these are innate qualities in everybody. Okay,
Correct.
that appetite is there or not there is an innate quality. You just have to ask the right questions to figure out what it is. And
Right.
earlier we didn't know what questions to ask.
Correct.
And this also, frankly, I did as a game. It just turned out to be one of the most meaningful lessons in
But
their
I
lives.
think
and my
that's
life.
how I think with
Yeah.
kids enjoy, the kids understand when you're having fun, and that's a
Fun.
philosophy we also have in the confident
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
But I think when you put it as a game and make a fun thing out of it, rather than put
Yeah.
the pressure, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, money is bad, money
Exactly.
is it doesn't define you. These are the things that we need to talk about when we talk
Yeah.
to our children. Make it like a fun game. That's
Yeah.
a great idea. What else can we do?
So this power of compounding that you spoke about, okay, I cannot begin to tell you that is the most vital mathematical concept
So
ever.
Deepma had warned me before we started this show that Kavita will talk a lot about the power of compounding. So now
Yeah.
I'm very curious to know what you mean by that.
Okay, so money multiplies, right? You have simple interest and you have compound interest. So
Money
if you
makes more money.
yeah, so if you allow the money to grow, then it's basically compounding year on year. But the magic about compounding is that it doesn't happen early.
Right.
That magic comes to play 25 to 30 years later on.
Right.
So
So you have to expect that it's a marathon. It's not
yeah,
going to be overnight. It's
yeah,
going to
it's
take time.
like having your child, and you're not going to send your child to work when he's 1, right?
Right.
So you'll have to wait till he's 18, 20, 25.
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
the same way you need to explain to them that when you're doing your part of compounding mathematics in school, pay attention to that, because and you can show them and make them do an exercise that if you were to put away 500 rupees a month,
Yeah.
and let it compound at 8%,
Correct.
not very high,
Yeah.
tell them to do the math and bring you a table.
Correct. And see the number in another
See the
15
number.
years, what it will grow to. Yeah.
Not 15, as I said, it has to be, it's
Maybe
a long
30
term.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, 30 years is
When
the
they
same.
are adults and when they will actually need that kind of
Yes,
money.
and then the second example you can give them is that same pool, if you just increase by 10% every year. So first year you're putting 500, next year 550, next year 600.
What will
So
that
just
do?
make them do the same table for 30 years and see what it comes out.
I think that makes it more believable because you're actually
Yes.
seeing how the number grows.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
and simple. Then one day you can say, okay, now change the rate from 8 to 7. See what difference it makes.
See what
Change the rate
happens.
from 7 to 9. See what difference it makes.
Right.
And if you just make them do that as a maths exercise, I
Yeah.
think you will also be astounded.
Actually,
So
yes.
we do financial literacy even for the poor.
Yeah.
So for the poor, what we tell them is that if you do this for 2 generations, and like our maids and drivers have worked with us they've seen our kids grow up.
Yeah.
So they've seen 20, 25 years pass quite easily. Now they have their own children. I say that if you do it for 1 generation and 1 generation more does it, you will be out of the poverty trap forever.
That's true. And that's very empowering. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
the next
And,
point
and I see that a lot of these people are very hesitant to even open a bank account because, once you have cash in your hand, you are going to spend it. It's going to go away. But if you take away, say, 1,000 rupees and put it in the bank, it's not there for you to touch. And, it'll
Yes.
start growing from right there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So even when they're going to college and stuff, get them involved with the expense budget. A lot of parents don't talk about money, but I think it's extremely important not to bog them down.
Can you elaborate? Because, this is a conversation that I've had with my daughter who's in college right now.
Yeah.
And she is very upset whenever I bring this up because,
Yeah.
she has all these expenditures and she's also doing a part-time job. So I always tell her that, whatever you are making, it may not be a lot because you're a
Yeah.
student right now.
Yeah.
Whatever you're making, you need to take an X number of amount of money and put it aside. That concept, it's been a bit of a struggle to make her do that. So give us some tips, Kavita. How do we?
So, there are times which I'll also share with you at a personal family level. I've always been be-minded about these things, and I have therefore, talked to our children about it openly.
Yes.
My sister-in-law used to always feel that I was being mean and being be-minded about this. And I said, no, this is one aspect in life I am going to be be-minded about it.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell them what it takes, etc., because they need to understand, not to make them guilty that, oh, we are spending so much money, but to say that, hey, if you can get a scholarship, it would make a big difference to us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So just to give them that feeling that what is being done for them is not to be taken for granted, and it is okay if they also sweat for it.
No, and they shouldn't feel that sense of entitlement all the time, right? Just because we have money doesn't mean that we are going to, if you can, when you get a scholarship, you will feel good about yourself, right? Because you have literally paid for your own education.
And then the budget on a weekly basis also for how much are you going to spend. So earn it on campus, earn at least, so we had been very clear that we would not give him more than $50 a week.
So we had a very funny incident with my daughter who wanted to go for a concert, and she said, you're not going to like this, but I bought myself a concert ticket and you're going to get very upset with me. I said, no, I think in college you should go to concerts. I think that's part of being college. How much was the ticket for? And she said something like $165 or something like that. And I was like, okay, great. And then I said, okay, so let's do a little bit of math here. How much do you make in a week or in a month? Let's remove the $165. Now, how much money do you have left for any extra expenses? And when we went through that exercise, the idea was not to make her feel guilty, but she suddenly had that very aha moment of, oh, I don't have much left for the other expenses that I need
Yeah.
to cover. And
Yeah.
unless and until I don't do this exercise, she will never really understand, because she
Yeah.
thinks, oh, it's okay, dad will, give me more pocket
Fun.
money.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I think it just to make a point that you must talk to them about it.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
not these are conversations. These
At
are not,
every stage. Yeah.
yeah, you're not sitting down on them and talking down at them and that sort of stuff,
Yes.
but saying, hey, if you've done this, can you work a few more hours a week and cover some of it?
Correct.
Okay. So can you go and do an odd job that you would earn
Yeah.
something on? Can you babysit and earn something more? But,
Correct.
just to kind of get them to create that balance in their heads that it's not all. And believe me, when kids go to America, a lot of American households have taken Hawk to put their
Right.
kids to. So our kids who are not taking Hawk, particularly if they are not taking Hawk, begin to realize that they are in a different category and begin to get grateful about it too.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I think it's an extremely, but conversations need to be had.
And I
Absolutely.
think you're right. It's not really part so much of our culture, which is why I think we need to push this a little bit more, because
Yeah,
culturally, a lot of our parents never sat down and talked to us about money so much. I mean, it
yeah,
came out
yeah,
in a more negative way, that money is
yeah,
it doesn't grow on trees, like the
yeah, yeah,
It's true,
yeah.
but we never
Yeah.
really talk about it as a constructive, conscious conversation around
100%.
finances. And I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
a great point.
I
So,
think you brought up a beautiful point, Kavita, where you said, a lot of people take loans.
Yeah.
And I know that when we've not talked about money,
yeah,
children don't understand what loans are and
Yeah.
how detrimental they are to your financial future. And I remember Avi, I remember my son telling me, if you don't have money, just go to the bank and get it. It was just one of those things where you just need to go to the bank, and if there's no money in the bank, then you take a loan from the bank, because
Yeah.
we were constantly, nowadays you
Yeah.
constantly calls about personal loans, and there's the
yeah,
ads on TV
Yeah.
about personal loans. So they don't realize that that's not necessarily, or that should not necessarily be your first option.
Yeah.
Going and paying interest to get money to do something that maybe you could live without, or maybe you ought to save up for before you got,
Yeah.
right? And so how do you have that conversation at the different ages?
So loans, I wouldn't categorize a loan as a bad thing. Okay, a loan so I'll put it in context. So first, for example, they'll have a credit card. Okay,
yeah.
now credit card debt is extremely expensive.
Mm.
They charge 2% or 3%
Especially when you pay
a month.
interest. Yeah,
Yes,
especially when you
2
pay
to
interest.
3% a month.
Yeah.
So it's not free. So the credit card bill, that's your first learning to them, that when you're giving them a credit card, see that the credit card bill is paid out every month. It's
Right.
over. Because why are you paying 2 to 3% interest per month? That's 36% per annum. That's a lot of money. Or
And
24%.
I believe that a lot of the Americans don't like Indian people with credit cards, because we usually end up paying off
Yeah,
all our
yeah, yeah.
we don't kind of say, okay, we'll only pay part of it.
Partly.
We pay the whole thing. So the first
Exactly.
step is to pay the whole thing.
Whole thing. And that is very important. Then when we come to the concept of loans, for example, a housing loan.
Yeah.
Okay. When children are like, my son is now at a stage where he's planning to buy a house in America, and he's got a mortgage clear. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because he at this age will not have the ability to put down, say, $300,000.
Yeah.
But he has the ability to pay an installment of $2,000 a month, which he was paying instead of rent, he'll be paying the loan.
Got
So that is perfectly fine. That is what it is meant for, and that
So
is what
you're saying debt is very consistent, like it is connected to your age and what stage of life you are at.
yeah.
Right?
So you should always be able to pay.
Right.
You should always be able to pay what is meant to be paid.
Correct.
Okay. So credit card debt, common sense. If it's they're charging you 36% per annum, obviously clear it out.
Correct.
Mortgages, no problem, because they charge you like 4% in America, particularly. It's 6.5% in India. So you must now calculate that. Do you have the income to be able to pay an installment? Because then what you've done for yourself, you've actually created an asset by way of a house, which hopefully will appreciate in time. And you are paying for it with tomorrow's money.
Right. Got it.
Okay. You've got the lump sum now, and you're paying for it with tomorrow's money. So which is a good thing. No problem with that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that cleared quite a few things. Yeah.
So you need to, again, these are concepts. So you must talk to them and in commonsensical terms say that is it, because the value of money keeps going down, right, with time.
Yeah.
Right.
So if somebody is willing to give you money today to buy an asset, not for
Yeah.
anything frivolous, but an
Right.
asset, even a car is fine.
Yeah.
It's also an asset of some variety, but obviously the amount is lower and you have the ability to pay it from your monthly salary or your monthly, then it's fine.
Right.
Okay, because that in fact is better, because what happens is that if you're taking a car loan or a home loan, you get the asset upfront. You're
Right.
paying for it with tomorrow's money, that's fine. You still manage to save your own money, which you invest. And
Correct.
hopefully you're investing with a higher return than what you're paying on the loan.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
that's the key. So now,
See, I had a different mindset, and
Yeah.
you cleared this up, because
Yeah.
I would say pay the whole, save for it,
It-
pay the whole amount, and buy the asset.
Yeah.
But you're saying take your savings and invest them and take a loan at a lower rate.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
because you are going to get a higher return when you actually use that saving, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just
And there the power of compounding is going to earn for you.
Correct.
They're the part of it in your savings. But
Correct.
in your this side of it, where your liability side, where you're paying with tomorrow's money. So it's great.
Correct.
It's a win-win.
So
Okay.
let's take a step back. I mean, let's
Yeah.
go back to the parenting and getting children involved in
Yes.
money.
Correct.
Give us some tips on what are the steps that parents can take, and how can they get a child started in the arena of investment, as I would like to call it.
Okay. So first I would say is that play that game.
Yes.
Okay.
Number
Yes.
one.
Get their assess their risk appetite, see
Yeah.
what their approach is. Okay?
Around between the age of 5 and 10.
5 and 10, you
About.
can do, yeah.
Okay. So start that early.
Yes, important to know how to make a budget.
Never
Taught in school, never taught in college. So
Yes.
please make budgets right.
I hope all the educators in the world are listening. We got to teach
Yes.
this in school. Yeah.
Yes. Then
And
let
what does
them
a budget involve, Kavita? So it
Yeah.
involves what you're getting in and
what you're spending on.
okay, just simple basic income.
Simple basic.
Can we say something like this? If a child is saying, I want a bicycle, right?
Yeah.
I want a bicycle. Can we connect their financial plan or whatever that they want to do with something
Yes.
that they want, and say, okay, you want a bicycle, you got to budget for it.
Yes.
You got some savings. Grandparents are giving you in Diwali, parents are giving you pocket money. Let's see
Right.
how much you can contribute. So maybe we can connect a financial plan with something that they want.
Absolutely.
Right?
So like a cycle would cost 12,000. If it means waiting for 6 months to buy it, so be it.
So be it.
Yes.
Yes.
So no instant gratification. So be it.
Absolutely.
Make the budget. Say, okay, this is how it will add up till next year. Buy it. Then.
Good.
So that is
We
it.
can even connect it to chores. I mean, if you don't have money, do chores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, let them earn based on chores done, even if they are household chores.
Absolutely. Well said.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if they need to, if they want to earn faster and they say, okay, we will do this, take the garbage, do dusting, do whatever. It doesn't normally, somebody would say, why would you pay a child, show the dignity of work in the house is, but hey, it's a game. We're not.
Yeah, it's a game. Yeah.
It's okay. If
Yeah,
it's
and they understand the value of money. That's what
Yeah.
we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
No,
So
and they're also learning very important life skills. If they want to get out of the house, they're going to have to do all of these things themselves. I
Yes.
remember it was just a small anecdote
Yeah.
that I remembered when you were talking about, let them earn their gift instead of instant gratification.
Yeah.
I remember this argument with both my children when we used to go visit my parents. They'd both pack like 8-10 books into the bags, and the bags would get so heavy.
Yeah.
So we finally decided we wanted to get them a Kindle. So we were thinking about that. And then my parents said, okay, we'll give you a Kindle. And so now they're thinking, oh, we want the Kindle now. Let's order it now. And we said, no, you're going to have to earn it. We are at our grandparents' house. Let's help them. Let's take them out to the bank. Let's go for, the vegetable shopping with grandma. Let's go do all of these things and earn the money. So they decided
So
that
there is a value attached. Yeah.
and unfortunately, now my parents were from the previous generation, so they weren't paying the kind of money that these kids wanted.
Yeah.
So finally, after about a week, we had a discussion about how it was saving my shoulders from carrying their books. So I should contribute to this.
Whatever.
It's a very smart.
Yeah.
But that's what you're saying, right? Open up the doors to conversation and negotiation, and you'll be amazed at what you find going on in here.
And important is not talking down. It's a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, like you will. So that I think is a very important aspect of all of this. So budgets, I didn't bring up the aspect of giving to the needy.
Donating a percentage of your earnings.
Yeah. So whether it's
That's
a
so
better,
beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. That's so
Not
important.
early,
Yeah.
yes.
So then they also begin to realize the value of that money, and that person who's begging or is asking or whatever is also makes them realize that, hey, that small amount that you gave me is also very meaningful. So it gives them a little context that they have, what they have and what the other person doesn't
And
have.
they will learn something about empathy and kindness. And that's
Exactly.
very important. I tell my children all the time, every month, 10% of my earnings go to some donation. It's probably a very small amount, but I will do it every month. It happens every month, and I share that with them. It's important for parents to do it and then talk about it. Those things are important.
They will do as you do, not as you say.
Exactly. Then, like I said about college, when they go, involvement with the budgets, involve them with the expenses. Don't give them everything that they need. Let them earn and make ends meet. Like the example that you gave, Seema, of your daughter and the ticket. Let her, step up in terms of. And it's being kind to be cruel. That's really.
Actually, she did. At the end of it, she took an extra shift at her workplace. She was very tired, but she knew that she had to make up for the amount of money that she had spent. And I'm like, great. I hope now you're going to enjoy that concert so much more because you worked hard for it. So it'll be so much nicer.
Then the power of compounding. I think that is the simple exercises to do it, either on a spreadsheet on the computer or mathematically if you want them to do mental maths.
I think, Kavita, you should write a book on how to help our children learn the power of compounding and all of these things and put it together.
Actually, my husband is planning to do that. Vivek is planning to do that.
That'll be a great thing to give to parents, right? Because, I mean, really, honestly, because we are not taught this in school, and many of us are, I mean, there is a psychological reason. I am one of those people. I'm scared of finances. I'll say that openly. I have a fear inside my head because I don't understand these things really well. So I have a fear of it. So I think if we have some kind of a tool, it'll be very useful for a lot of parents actually. So tell Vivek to get on it.
I think that's an amazing idea, Kavita. If you and Vivek can give us or get out the small little worksheets, like a little ebook that you could give to kids saying, here's your money manual, maybe we call it, or something. It would be amazing because
actually it will be amazing.
Understanding much earlier. An example from one of our students, just about I think 6 months ago, Seema, when we had the college class, the pre-college skills class, and one of the kids said, Auntie, it's so much. I want to have money. One of our questions to them was, what do you want most in the world, right? And they gave, a lot of them gave us very, profound answers. And this one boy said, Auntie, I want to make a lot of money because it's far easier to be unhappy in a Porsche than it is on a cycle. I am looking at 17-year-old and
you would rather cry in a Mercedes than go on a cycle and cry. It's easier.
So the students are understanding it now. If we empower them and give them the means to kind of reach their goals and reach their dreams, that would be wonderful.
Then the other very important is respect for money.
Ooh, that sounds a little
tell us about it.
Philosophical. Tell us about it.
So as I said, the aspect of it not defining you, and the aspect that it is an integral part of your life, and the same way as you respect your body and you enrich your mind and you respect, I mean, you have to pay respect. You may, not do it, and then you will see the consequences of that. Correct. So the same way, respect for money, I think COVID was for our children, they'll remember COVID. Okay, it impacted them. So we need to tell them about the fact that money is important. A certain level of money is important. It doesn't define you, and therefore keep it in its place. It's not that I'm now driving a Porsche or I'm driving a Mercedes, so I've reached out there. You're still the same human being.
Yes.
You will still come with nothing. You will still go from this world with nothing. So please do not get this thing that if I'm earning millions and millions of dollars or whatever, I am somebody different. Correct. You're not. Nobody is different. We all wake up the same way. We all do the same thing every day. It may just be a slightly different environment, and we will all go away one day.
Correct. So
Okay.
yeah, that's such a healthy thing to talk to
So-
children about, how you respect money. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it is this, I mean, it's just one of those things that helps you in your life. One of those things.
One of
Okay.
those things. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just give them that perspective so that they start thinking about these things from the beginning. And yes, it's all very well to have that Porsche or the Mercedes, etc. But that's not who you are.
Yes.
Yes.
That doesn't define you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think recently my nephew was suffering from that because his father passed away, and he's obviously now realizing that he's enjoying all the fruits of what his father left behind. So,
Correct.
beautiful house in Miami and etc. And he was actually burdened by the fact that all of this was suddenly his
Yes.
and
Yes.
his for use.
Yeah.
And then we sat and had this conversation. He started calling it a champagne life. And I said, great, it's a champagne life. And, but yet he was feeling burdened because
Yeah.
Correct.
suddenly. So I said, but don't let it define you. And I
Yes.
think he got that. I said, it's okay. I mean, the house is there. So what are you going to do? Sell it? No, it's for yours to use. But as long as it doesn't define you and you don't start saying, oh, I have a fancy house and therefore now I will not do anything, different.
Right.
It's okay. I mean, so when he comes to in America, he's driving his Mercedes. When he comes to Bombay, he's very happy going in a Kali Pili.
Kali
Okay.
Pili. Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's been so long since I
Kali
heard
Pili
that.
is- For people who
Kali
didn't get
Pili.
that, Kali
He calls
Pili is
it
the
a Kali
taxi.
Pili. Yeah, literally a taxi. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but it's fine, and and then I keep telling Ron, why don't you just take an air-conditioned Uber? He said, no, I like to roll the window down and get the
Yeah.
smell
Those
of
are those childhood memories, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that if you can display that yourself with your children and you can
So well
get them
said, yeah.
to, swing in many different directions,
Yes.
which don't define them in any one particular way,
Correct.
then I think the same understanding can flow to money as well.
Yeah.
Correct.
That it doesn't matter what you got, you're still going to come the way you have and you're going to go that way too. And all of
Absolutely.
this is transient and whatever.
Yes, it's all in the
Get
passing.
the joy from the small things as well.
Yes.
While
yes.
you're doing the right thing, get the joy
Yeah.
from the small
Small
things.
things, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully said,
that's-
Kavita. Well said. And I never looked at money in that way. I think as a parent, I think all the parents will probably now look at money in a very different way, with respect, without it defining who they are, but
Yeah.
with the knowledge that it is important and it is not
Yeah.
to be ignored. It is not
Yeah.
something that you can.
So as a last thing, I would say that even spirituality comes easily when you have money.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
It comes much easier.
very
Yes.
easy. Yeah, life is a little bit easier when you have money saved
Yeah,
away and invested.
Yes.
So even if you want to say, oh, Abhi, I am now in my spiritual zone and
Yes.
that sort of stuff, that happens only when they say philanthropists and all of that. Because they have so much they can give.
Yes.
Correct.
If you don't have it, you're not going to give now.
Correct. I mean, we have Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and all
Yes.
these people who are donating most of their incomes
Yeah.
because
but
they
if you
have so much more to give.
give, yeah. But so you have to be able to give.
Correct.
Okay.
So get there, get to that
Get there.
point.
But
And,
again,
and also, I love what you said about, it's not just enough that you make money, but you also give it to other people who need it. So that empathy, kindness also should be there, because again, that money doesn't define who you are. You are not going to say, oh, no, ye mera hai. It's not mine. I mean, it's for everybody to enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
And if you see all the Warren Buffett and all also, they don't lead very rich lives. They lead simple lives. Okay, at the end of the day, that's all you can live. As you're growing older.
Yeah, because they always looked at money as a game, right? It's like, how do I use my intelligence and my hard work and my research to make this grow? I mean, they don't do it just, I want to have a.
Strangely, even for their children, they have not left it in all abundance. They have given it. They've left them comfortable.
Which shows value and respect, right?
Exactly.
These two things are very easily coming out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wow, this was a great conversation. And I think that the parents are hopefully going to start taking seriously, but also the people in the education industry will take this a little bit more seriously, that we need to include, when we are doing math and we're doing compound interest, let's give them that worksheet where we can actually see how money can grow. Use that example in class. And I think maybe Deepa and I will take this inspiration from you and wait for your worksheet. We're going to wait for the worksheet so that we can use it in our leadership communication program, where we will also teach.
To make it real. Unfortunately, all of our education is about the exam. It's never real. So if you immediately make it real and say, I'm giving you 500 rupees now, here's what you have to do over the next 30 years. That reality check is
Yeah.
what will get children.
You
And then
know-
it will stop children like me, where me and Seema also, who got afraid of money, who said,
Yeah.
no, we can't handle it. We want to, we want to outsource it, or we want to give it to someone else
Yeah.
because we're scared of it. We
Yeah.
don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So that's something that if we had learned much earlier in life,
And I'll
with
tell
the
you,
respect and value also,
Yeah.
it would have changed how we looked at money.
we have a very interesting program that we do in our classes, which is called RAK, which is Random Act of Kindness, where we give all our students 100 rupees, and we
Oh.
tell them, take the 100 rupees. It's not like you take the 100 rupees and buy something out of it.
Yeah.
You take the 100 rupees, figure out how to grow it so that you can use it to help somebody else. And I'll tell you, the highest that we have made is about 27,000.
27
Wow.
from
And
100.
How?
and there are different ways of doing it, right? So how do you do this? So a bunch of them said, okay, how do we make this grow? So they 5 of them came together, so that now they have 500 rupees. They took the 500 rupees and they started creating cookies and brownies and cupcakes and all, and they made a lot of those. Then they went into the community and said, we are going to donate this, and our target is about 25,000, and we want to donate to charity, so give generously. So the people started giving them 1,000 rupees for a cookie,
Yeah.
100 rupees for a cookie, and they started growing.
Because
And
it was
from
for a good
500
cause.
rupees,
Yeah.
they made 27,000 rupees,
Wow.
which they beautifully donated to an absolutely deserving NGO. And they were so great. They were so shocked that our students with just 500 rupees could raise 27,000
That's
in a period of 3
amazing.
weeks.
Amazing story.
Yeah, so I think this is something now that you've inspired us. We are going to continue to do this with using
Yes,
a proper worksheet and the compounding interest.
Yeah.
So please send
Yes,
us the worksheets.
Kavita, we need, now ask Vivek also, we need the squirrel compounding worksheet for children.
Okay, we will do that.
Anyway, so
We
this
will
was
provide.
great. This was a great conversation. Any last minute tips, Kavita, you want to give us before we end this conversation?
I think we've itemized everything.
Covered everything.
Yes.
I think we have a very clear plan now, and that's what I
Yeah.
liked about this conversation. And I
Yeah.
think let's not be afraid of money.
There was I just always say this one word, which my mother used to tell me,
Yeah.
which is apne ko pakka rakho.
Ground yourself.
That again?
Ground.
Ground yourself.
Apne ko pakka rakho.
Apne ko pakka rakho means ground yourself. Yeah.
Ground yourself.
Be centered. Stay centered.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
balance will actually help you
yeah,
with a lot of things.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you,
that
Kavita,
would be
so much
okay.
for your time, for your wisdom, and for
Most
everything. that
welcome.
you do.
Thoroughly enjoyed talking to both of you. It's always a vibrant conversation.
Always a vibrant
Thank
conversation.
you.
And we look forward to our next episode of Imperfect Parenting coming up on Wednesday. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.